The internet industry has done an incredibly good job of making the case that it should be immune to regulation. It did it at first by successfully convincing lawmakers that you do not know this space and you have no idea what you're doing. And in some ways, it's sort of continued making the case in that lawmakers are often 3, 5, 7 years behind whatever's sort of going on right now. You know, right now lawmakers are starting to wake up to Bitcoin and the notion of virtual currency and the idea that people are actually making money in this space, even as Bitcoin looks like that may be going away and we may have some successor currencies. So the government tends to be late. At the same time, we also do need the government to sort of come in and say, look, we found ways of preventing credit discrimination. We found ways of essentially saying we can't make a credit decision based on race, based on education level, based on where you live. It's got to be based on your financial behavior. And if you don't make that decision, we're going to penalize you in a serious way.
Based on financial behavior.
Based on financial behavior, based on something directly linked rather than indirectly linked. Big data is all about indirect linkage. We may well need governments to sort of look at this and say, is that indirect linkage fair? Does it end up being explicitly or implicitly discriminatory against classes of people? We're not going to get there unless we get two other things. We need consumers to sort of look at this and say, we are being sold a very bad bargain. In an internet where everything is free, we are the product. If you're not paying for it, you are not the customer, you are what is being sold. And we do not have consumers behaving this way at this point. And what we're going to need are organizations of consumers getting together and essentially saying to an entity like Facebook, we need a choice. We understand that you're providing a service, but we should have the choice to pay a $50 subscription fee per year to stay in touch with our friends and not have all of our data monetized, analyzed, repackaged, repurposed, and sort of put together. But we're not going to get that unless we actually have consumers getting together and finding a way to demand certain types of regulation and to demand certain behaviors coming from these corporations.
And to have the cognizance that what you think is free when you sign up for these services really isn't free. If you're getting it for free, you're paying.
And I think at the very high levels of these corporations, people get that. What I don't think is that most of the young engineers, the young salespeople, young people sort of going in and following the 2015 version of the American dream, which is to go work for one of these companies, whether it's in its startup phase or whether it's one of the mature ones like Google. That's where I think we need this critical thinking, we need this critical analysis, because those corporations are going to have to be part of the change as well. They're going to have to look at this and say, look, we've ended up in this business model, we've ended up in these set of practices. This perhaps is not what's healthiest for society as a whole. Let's start thinking about some different and better ways to do this.